want to spend my time doing.
How do you react when you wanted to, I mean, if you came to him and said, this is an activity I want to do, and this is an activity that is important to me, what would his reaction be?
Well, I think at first he was surprised because I went along with it for so long. And after a while, it's just been that I'm able to say, no, I don't want to do that. You go ahead and do it alone. I think there was some indirect anger at first, but I think it's real clear now to him that I have my own values and the things I want to spend my time with.
Does he consider the things that you want to spend your time with as important as the things he likes to do?
I think in the years we've been together, yes, now that he does.
Now that he does,
Mm-hmm.
but he hasn't in the past.
Not always, I don't think.
Communication, now you mentioned to me that you kind of go back and forth, that maybe this is important to you but not to him. With your communication with him, what level do you think it's on? Do you have good communication?
It took a long time to develop that, and we had a lot of help. We participated in groups to help our communication and so forth.
Tell me about the low point of that communication. What would be, when it was at its very worst, how were you really communicating with him, if at all?
Not at all. Very indirect. You know, just more or less holding our feelings inside, not saying what was going on with us at all.
Also with me today, Paulette Johnson. Paulette, what's your problem with your difficult man? How does it affect your life, and where are your problems?
Well, one of my problems is communications, or lack of. When there's a problem that I want to discuss with him, he more or less shut down. I don't know if I know he's listening, but I don't know what he's thinking, because a lot of times he doesn't communicate back his information to me. Money is a problem.
What are some of the things that you have trouble communicating with your man?
Marriage.
Marriage?
Is one. Doing things on an individual basis, like I may want to do something and he may want to do something else, and he thinks I don't know if he thinks it, but I think he feels that he should be in control overall, over
Is he a pretty traditional
else.
kind of guy that
Yes, he's
kind of wants the woman in the home, and
yes.
do you have to pretty much carry the load as far as
cleaning the house, cooking?
Are there children involved here?
Well, there's 4 children involved.
4 children, and
Yes.
you're kind of expected to do the housework and to cook and to clean and be the traditional housewife.
Yes, definitely, but that's not the way it is.
But he's kind of doing it both ways, because he wants it traditional one way,
Mm-hmm.
but he doesn't want to commit to marriage. He's afraid of commitment.
I think so. I'm not sure why, because he won't open up and let me know.
Michelle Harris is with us, and your man. What seems to be the area that gives you the most problem?
We're on 2 totally different wavelengths. When he's up, I'm down. It's communication.
Can't ever get on the same plane.
Well, sometimes we do, but it's if I move over a little bit, and then we can go together, and then it kind of separates after a while.
If you move over, now that's a little something I pick up there. Are you the one that's always having to make the concessions?
He does sometimes.
He does sometimes. What happens when he doesn't? Give me an example of how, can you give me just an example of if you were out somewhere or something and that your communication broke down and...
Concerts. We go to a lot of rock concerts, and it's usually his type of music. We never would go to I'd like to go see the Jets or something like that,
Yeah.
and he wants to go see Motley Crue, Iron Maiden, that kind of concerts. So we always go to those kind of concerts.
You are on 2 different wavelengths
yeah,
as far as
yeah.
music is concerned there.
Yeah, we like 2 totally different types of music.
Well, what if you told him, hey, listen, we're going to go see the Jets. I want to go see them. Let's go see them. Would he get mad?
I'd go with his sister, is what I'd have to end up doing.
Would he get mad at you if you forced the issue? Does he have a tendency to get a little irrational?
If I forced him to go with me, yes, he would, because he doesn't like that kind of music. But if I just decide, what usually happens is I decide to do something, I just go do it, with or without him.
But you would much rather be able to do it together.
Oh, yeah.
Nancy Good is with us. She's a psychotherapist. She has dealt with really intensely with this subject of dealing with difficult men for well over 10 years. Nancy, we have 3 women here, and some of the things they say are similar, but some of their individual lives are quite different. Let's begin with maybe some of the communication, like with Rebecca. The difference of values when you have a problem with that.
Communication, Well, I think Rebecca's been starting to do what I'm suggesting in my book to do, which is for a woman to take an emotional risk. Communication is risky because you don't know how the other person is going to react, and that's what I talk about, emotional risk-taking. Being willing to raise the subject that's causing the problem and say how you feel about it. And it's also a risk to know what you feel. First, a woman has to figure out what she feels inside and say it, and what she wants, how she'd like things to be different. And the other thing is to understand psychologically what's going on, why your communication might be hard, why you're haven't been until this point willing to really connect with each other. And that's because there are a lot of fears in relationships, a lot of fears about really being close, which is funny because you think we all want to be close. But with a difficult man, very often he's afraid of being close. He might want it, but he's scared of it.
Michelle, Paulette, and Rebecca, have you ever been really mad at your men?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Paulette?
Oh, yes.
I mean, real mad.
Yes, I mean real mad, to where I want to hit him.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's so much larger than I am, and you know,
Probably a wise decision.
it would feel more like a bee sting, you know, and it would go away.
If you get that mad, how do you stay in love with a guy like that?
Because I want him to know that I am mad and that I can get mad, and that the issue at hand is important to me. And I let him know how important it is first by approaching him calmly and rationally. And then if I can't get him to communicate back with me, I still, you know, nitpick, you know, and, you know, just a little bit here and a little bit there. And I go back into the kitchen and I come back and then I just blow up, you know, and it's...
So
it's
even though
hard
he
not
makes you
to.
so angry,
Yes.
you still have the love enough for him that you want to try to work things out.
Oh, definitely.
Somewhere down the line. But how can people sometimes, Nancy, I mean, that's a difficult thing to do.
That is exactly what a difficult man's situation is. That's why I decided this topic needed discussion, because, and I thought there was even a book that needed to come out about it, because women don't want to leave these men. They really do love him, and there's something about him that makes him special.
He's a good man.
He's a good man. He can even be considerate and sensitive. There's a spark to him, the chemistry that isn't there with other people. But there are times that he just can drive you to scream. And then there are times when he's totally inconsiderate and self-centered and not there for you at all. So that's, and women want to stay with these men. They don't want to leave, right?
Right.
That's right.
He's good with the children, and you know, he is considerate and he's kind. But at times,
some people would say that,
shake
you know,
him.
hey, if this guy's not, you know, really recognizing your needs and the things that you want out of your life, if he's just solely within himself, then, you know, when do you make the decision at a certain point that, hey, I love the guy, but things are so difficult that this just isn't worth it?
I think when it starts affecting your health, that's when it's time to let go or consider letting go. Because my physical body can only take so much pressure. Not my physical, but my mental stability can only take so much pressure. And if I'm physically healthy and I'm not mentally healthy, I could have a stroke, a nervous breakdown. You know, I'm human. So you got to consider those factors.
When you have this difficult man, now, Michelle, have you voiced your differences of opinion? Have you really sat
Ask
down
the
and tried?
neighbors. Yeah.
And the what?
Ask the neighbors.
Ask the neighbors. Oh. So the neighborhood kind of knows about what's going on here.
Especially in the summertime when the windows are open.
Oh, I see. But when should a woman make that? That's a pretty big step, isn't it, Nancy? When you've got that relationship, you love the guy, and you know that things aren't going well. When should you make that step? To tell him what's wrong?
Well, I suggest you make that step in terms of telling him what's wrong as soon as you can. I do suggest that you don't do it when you're at your most furious. Because when you're at your most furious, you're liable to really criticize and
So when Paulette
attack him
comes out of the
verbally.
kitchen, she needs to back off a little bit, maybe wait a day.
I
It is
have
best
backed off.
if you
I
can.
have backed off. I've gone into the kitchen to regroup.
That's right. Regroup. That's a
To
wonderful
count. I mean, you know,
phrase.
they say when you're disciplining children, you're not supposed to spank them. Okay, so you go away from them and you count to 10.
Now wait a minute. Are you
And if you're not
correlating
angry,
the man that you live with disciplining children now? Is that?
Sometimes that's the
Sometimes
way it is. No,
What are
for
you
real.
laughing at back here?
For real, because, you know, children are on their wavelength, women are on this wavelength, and she's kind of split between here. And, you know, you have to deal with the husband as well as dealing with the children. So you have to regroup, because if you don't, then I find myself taking my anger at him out on the children, and it's not fair to the children, but that's the way it comes out.
Yeah, Nancy, I mean, you know, I being a man, I kind of understand that if a woman comes to a man and says, honey, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong, you're doing this wrong.
The poor male ego.
Sometimes, go ahead, Michelle.
He's not going to respond if you tell him what he's doing wrong. If you tell him how you'd like him to be different with you, and you tell him how it makes you feel about what he does, he may respond. He probably won't respond the first time. But if you continue to talk about it, he may respond. I think what she's talking about is being what I call a chronic complainer. And women don't feel good about themselves when they're chronic complainers. That's when it's important to step back, and because very often
women don't like to be naggers.
That's right. Well, no, they don't. They don't like to see themselves as a shrew. And sometimes a difficult man can force you to that position where you're like that. And I'm suggesting techniques that you can use to not be pushed into that position where you're the shrew.
Rebecca, did you have to nag your husband? You say that your communication is getting better. Did you have to nag him a little bit along the way? I mean, stay on top of him? How did you start to break through a little bit to him? Because as you said, at one point, you weren't communicating at all. I mean, in any way, shape, or form?
Right. We're both in the same career, which is in the health field, and we have the tools and the knowledge and the expertise actually to deal with people in the same situations where they're not communicating. And I think for us, we had to really step back and say, even though we're in this field, we have to take a look at our own relationship and what do we need to do to communicate better with each other, because it's very much different working with a client than in your own relationship.
As always in doing this show, it sounds so nice to say, you know, that we have to just sit back and look at how we need to communicate between one another, and that this is how we're going to get together. Now, that's real easy to say, but when you're in the den and you're going tooth and nail at one another, Nancy, it just doesn't work out as smooth as that.
No, it doesn't. And if it doesn't sometimes, one thing I suggest, it's easy for people to say they're sorry after a fight, and it really clears the air. And it's sometimes that's something you have to teach him to do, to say he's sorry, and when he'll tell you he's sorry about something he said, you feel much better.
Let me take this phone call. Good morning. Thank you for calling Twin Cities Live. Go right ahead.
After 5.5 years with probably the most difficult man in the world, but that's in my eyes, I just finally ended up losing 26 pounds and on a shrink's couch, and I left. And I view now that my self-esteem was never lower in my entire life to let this man be this difficult to me. Let him be difficult with somebody else, you know? I mean, why stay?
Yeah, how do you know when to, as she did, to get out of a relationship, and how much is a woman's self-esteem involved in this?
I never tell people when is too much for them. I think that's an individual decision, and I'll tell you, if I have told people, they haven't listened anyway, so it's not really productive. But I do suggest that if a woman's in that position where it is really affecting her health, or where she feels like her whole life is involved in this, that she pull back and detach and become separate and take care of herself. You can stay in a relationship with someone who's difficult if you pull back from it and have your own life. And tell him that's what you're doing. Say, I give up on these problems for right now. I'm going to take care of myself. Anytime you want to work on it, I'm here to work on it with you.
I would think to work your problems out with a difficult man, you'd have to understand psychologically what's going on with him. And we're going to take a short break. When we come back, how women can understand what's going on inside his head and try to work out those problems when we continue on Twin Cities Live. We'll be right back.
Does your look great clips like we do? We do a look that's right for you. Great clips, that's right. Nobody does you like we do. Great clips.
It only looks expensive.
Nobody does you like we do.
You're telling me Trident helps fight cavities? It always has?
Well, I knew Trident didn't cause cavities, but helped fight them? No, I didn't know that.
It's hard to believe a little piece of gum can do all that.
It's true. New dental studies prove it. Chewing Trident after sugary snacks reduces acids that form on teeth. It's these acids that can cause cavities. Ask your dentist.
Something that's delicious and good for you, I love it. Couldn't happen to a better gum.
Trident, good to chew and fights cavities, too.
You didn't have time for the supermarket, but why didn't you stop at Tom Thumb? You could have shopped fast and saved on these cabin fever specials. Tom Thumb has Coke, Diet Coke, or Sprite, a 12-pack of 12-ounce cans for $2.99. Bernatello's 24 to 26-ounce sausage or pepperoni pizza is only $2.59. And a half-gallon of Kemp's Nut Goody Candy Bar ice cream is just $2.39. So hurry in and save at Tom Thumb. Who knows when you'll get another chance?
Days off, don't wanna work no more. Gonna take my time now that it's mine. And I don't wanna be where there's no Coca-Cola. This is the life, these are the real things. You're the heart of it, every day, every way. Coca-Cola's a part of your life. Oh, when Coca-Cola's a part of your life, you can't beat the feeling.
The executive woman, what makes her tick, and how in the world did she beat out all that competition to get to the top? What did she have to do to get there? And once she got there, was it all that she thought it would be? These are some of the questions that women are beginning to ask themselves as they pay the price and climb the corporate ladder. This Monday on Twin Cities Live, we'll meet some of the city's most successful businesswomen and hear it straight from them. Joining this panel will be Edith Gilson, who has studied the hidden life of the executive woman and the choices that they have had to make. The number to call for free tickets, we have just a few seats left, so please call now, 641-1298, to meet some of the most accomplished women in the Twin Cities. That's this coming Monday, and just a reminder, for the next couple of days or so, we'll be giving away free tickets to certain audience members to the musical Singing in the Rain, which begins tonight at the Minneapolis Orpheum Theater. So the number to call is 641-1298 for Monday's show, to meet some executive women and find out how they got there and what it cost them. Let me, so we can get both sides of the story here. There are two sides to every story. Now, you are...
Steve Harris.
Steve Harris. And you're...
Married to one of the people on the panel.
Married to one of the people. You don't even want to identify who you are married to?
Is it a vendetta?
You're married to Michelle.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Well, what do you think about this when she says you're a difficult man and that do you really like Iron Maiden?
You bet.
All right.
But... well, I see the panel discussing their own personal situations, and if it involves the personal situation, isn't it a two-way street? Can't the woman be as difficult as the man? That's
yeah,
my
I mean,
question.
how do we know that maybe these women are difficult to live with? Maybe they're difficult women to live with instead of the other way around, the difficult man. Look at them shake their head. No.
It could be. I mean, it's possible for a woman to be difficult, but I have found in working with the clients that I've, over the years, the women that I've seen, that women have less trouble with intimacy than men do. Women may have more trouble with a career or being out in business, but when it comes to the family and relationships and intimacy, I think women have less fears of it, so they usually are less difficult in it, and they are more willing to do something about the problems. It's not that men aren't willing to. They very often, difficult men are very responsive when a woman comes to them. He's just been waiting for her to say, hey, we can't go on like this. This is terrible. So it's not that he won't respond, but women, I find, they have less fears of it, so they're more out there.
Do you have fears of talking? Obviously, this man doesn't have fears of talking about this because he's on television talking about it.
That's it.
But have you worked out some of these things? I mean,
I think so, yeah.
Michelle, do you think so?
Yeah, but he still doesn't fight fair.
He still doesn't fight fair. What do you mean by that?
Oh, he interrupts when I'm trying to... I'm slower when I try to say something. It takes me a while to get it out, and he'll just come... He's speedy, he's debate. And he can come right in there and change it, and he exaggerates.
What are you going to do here, buddy?
I don't know, like the doctor was saying there about the intimacy. I can see that from the woman's point of view. I think that's maybe true, and it's a stereotype that women can be more intimate or whatever, whether it be with their children. But, you know, other things, there are women's and there are men's issues, and on other things, maybe a man is better at the relationship in some respects or whatever. Maybe the man is better at, I don't know, disciplining the children or whatever. You know, like with our son, I feel like I take, you know, lay down the limits more than she does for him, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's terrific, and I think there are certain roles in a relationship that a man may be much more adept at than a woman, and that's great, and maybe you need to help her to be as skillful as you are. I think that's what we're trying to get at here, is that you can both become equal partners in the relationship and each have your say and be able to switch roles with each other. I call that the new improved idea of the perfect couple. Mm-hmm. You know, the old perfect couple was very stereotyped, and this new improved perfect couple that I talk about can really switch roles and be adept at a lot of things. So maybe you could help her with those things if she helps you with, let's say, communication when you're angry.
Is there such thing as a difficult woman then? If you sound like you're saying it's a two-way street, can you answer that question? Is there such a thing as difficult women?
I've had many men tell me that they live with difficult women, but I'm waiting for a man to write that book.
You're brave. Thank you, big guy. I won't pick on you anymore. You get a little psychologically when we talk about. We got a phone call. Oh, I'm sorry. I know you've been waiting on the line for a while. Go right ahead. You're on Twin Cities Live.
Hi.
Hi. Good morning.
I just wondered if these girls, if their husbands know that they're on the program today.
Well, obviously Michelle's does.
Okay. I think that's really good because I went through the same thing in 1984, and what was really helpful is that my husband and I went to counseling because what happened, I had been abused by him, and I really always thought that there was a lot of communication until in 1984, it was my birthday and I was abused, and I just said, after 5.5 years, goodbye. Well, we are back together now, but just since 1986, and I think that these women are very good to let their feelings out and to be able to express their feelings this way.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you've worked things out. I think we're talking about something a little bit different here than actually the abuse of women. In fact, on Friday we have a show on that subject. That's a little bit more serious than what we're talking about here. We're not talking about a man who has problems with alcoholism or abusing his
right,
the woman in his life.
The acting out disorders.
Yeah.
I call them I do talk about that in the book, about acting out disorders, but those situations I would definitely need some kind of counseling. I always recommend go for counseling in those situations, and there are groups around, a lot of groups around to deal with those subjects.
That's beyond the definition of difficult. That's into very, very serious
That's
problem.
more serious.
You know, we're just talking about, men who sometimes make the lives of the women that they're involved in a little bit miserable, but basically other than that they have a good relationship. Commitment. Tough thing for a man. Tough thing for a man.
Is it?
I don't know. Well, tell me now, in your particular case, now you've been together with your man for how long?
More than 5 years.
More than 5 years.
Yes, we have 4 children, and...
Has he told you that he would get married to you?
Only after I've asked. And I've asked now for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready to make the commitment and go on and try to make a career. I have 4 children. I'm not having any more children. And it's time for a new role.
Mm-hmm.
And
how is he accepting that?
Yes and no. Because, it's best if a relationship can have, like, one parent stay home and watch the children and the other parent go off to school or work, and then switch the roles. But it's difficult for some men to deal with 4 children. Their patience aren't as long as women's, and it's just...
It's a new role for a lot of men.
Yes,
it's a new role for a lot of men.
Yes.
Let's face it. Most of us, especially my generation, were not really raised to be that way, to nurture and to be at home with the children.
No, you're not.
So why do you think
raised that
why do you
way.
think he fears commitment? He obviously is committed to you in many ways.
Yes, in many ways he is committed. He won't tell me. what his fear is, because there's a root to every plant.
Wonderful.
And there's a root to every relationship, and there's a root to every feeling, and you've got to go within yourself to figure out what that feeling is. And I think because women were made with feeling, you know, when they were created, women are made with feeling, and men not necessarily so with so much feeling, you know, that
now, wait a minute. I might disagree a little bit on that. I'm going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to go back to that point and this fear of commitment by men when we continue talking about how to live with a difficult man on Twin Cities Live.
Our overstock sale at Sun Valley Waterbeds is going great.
Did I hear you say great, Connors?
But not good enough. So we're slashing prices from 15 to 50% on even more items.
This is your last chance, Connors.
Bedroom furniture, sheets, Soma beds, waveless mattresses. You can't beat our complete bookcase bed for $139.
Sell, Connors, sell.
And water conditioner steel at 98 cents.
That a boy, Connors.
Please hurry, because the sale ends soon.
Monday. Connors. Monday at Sun Valley Waterbeds.
John, please don't pressure me. I have to work tonight.
Interesting. Stress can cause headache pain, and that pain more stress, and the stress more pain. A vicious cycle. Break it with the new breakthrough in pain relief. Ibuprofen with ibuprofen. Ibuprofen is stronger, more effective than the leading pain reliever, and has no aspirin.
John, come on over. I can finish tomorrow.
Interesting. When the pain goes, you feel better, and better, and better. Break the cycle of pain with new ibuprofen.
If your child's grades are falling, if he lacks motivation, or his progress in school is just not all it could be, Sylvan Learning Centers can help your child master the basic reading and math skills it takes to do well in school. In fact, they guarantee that if your child doesn't advance at least one full grade level in reading or math with just 36 hours of instruction, they'll provide up to 12 additional hours absolutely free. The Sylvan approach begins with careful testing, then a personalized program especially created for your child. At Sylvan, children get the intensive one-to-one attention they need to make real headway. The Sylvan system works because competition, stress, and fear of failure are replaced by patience, understanding, and positive rewards. There are no contracts to sign, no long-term commitments to make.
For more information, call 888-0990 or see our ad in the yellow pages under Schools Academic.
Trying to get my back loosened up. You ever have that problem? Whenever we do exercise shows here in Twin Cities Live, a lot of questions about what can you do about a bad back. And I know how many people have had bad backs. Almost everybody, at least one time or another. Listen up. If you are one of the 75 million Americans a year with back problems, next Wednesday's show is the one for you. And if you don't have an aching back, you'll still want to come down and find out how to keep it pain-free, how to make sure that you don't hurt your back in the first place. After all, there's much more to taking care of your back than just standing up straight. We'll meet 5 experts from all aspects of back treatment who'll give you some common sense advice on taking care of your aching back. It's free, absolutely free. You can come down and find out how to get that little kink out of your back. 641-1298 is the number to call to reserve your seats to come down to our studio and be a part of our audience next Wednesday. I look forward to meeting you face-to-face. The number to call is 641-1298. Welcome back to Twin Cities Live. We're talking about how to live with a difficult man. Now, I want to bring Nancy in on this as far as this fear of commitment that Paulette was talking about. And she had this contention, I believe, that women are born to be able to feel more emotions and men aren't.
Right. Women are more emotional than men are. And women have a tendency to go on feeling rather than thinking about something before they do it. They'll react instead of saying, okay, let me think about this. If I do it this way, what will come back at me from this angle or that angle?
Okay, all right.
Well, women
I disagree, but
Well, you're a
Nancy, what do you
man.
think?
It's more socially acceptable for women to be emotional. Let's start with that. We still have the idea that John Wayne is a real man, and he doesn't cry, and he doesn't show anxiety, and he doesn't feel inadequate, and he doesn't say he feels dependent on a woman. It's just not acceptable to be a man. It's still, even though things have changed, it really still isn't. And for women, it is socially acceptable for them to cry.
You really don't
and
think
feel
that we've
anxious.
made progress as far as being able to show emotions?
We have made, look, we're here today talking about it, so we must have made some progress, but I see that we haven't made as much progress as we think we have. And it's since women, we're talking about hundreds, maybe thousands of years, that it's been socially acceptable for women to be more emotional, so there's a lot of catching up to do.
Fear of commitment. Why don't men want to commit? And it's hard for anyone.
Okay, well, I think that's a point that affects a lot of relationships, because he just doesn't want to get married. And when you were talking about that he doesn't want to get married, he's afraid of some things, and I think that's hard to keep in mind when he's blustering and say he doesn't need it, and why rock the boat, and why do you have to make trouble? Everything's okay the way it is. What he's really feeling inside is not that. He's afraid of being taken over by you. He could be afraid of being controlled by you. Once people get married, their relationships do change, and sometimes they become like a parent to each other. And maybe he felt that his mother was controlling or tried to run his life. So he could be afraid of that. He could be afraid that maybe you'll leave him if he marries you, or that the marriage, once you're married, your relationship won't be as good. So the first thing for you to think about is there are many, many fears, the things that he could be afraid of. Look at his parents' relationship. See what that was like. See if their marriage you thought was a good one and that they had fun together. Perhaps that's affecting him.
Are men from divorced families more prone to not get married?
Well, divorce is certainly can be very painful, but a marriage that isn't good can be painful for a child too, to witness, and that can leave scars also. You can't overcome them, but it can leave scars.
Go ahead.
I have a question for Nancy. I'm in a situation, he tries to run my life. He tells me what to do.
In what ways?
What not
so
to do,
he tells you what to
how
do.
much money to spend.
Like, if I go for a job interview, for instance, he'll tell me what to say, what to wear. Anywhere I go, he'll tell me what to say. And
How long have you been with him?
About a year and a half. We have a little boy that's 6 months old. And I was just wondering, I try to start running my own life, but I always end up back in that trap where I'm doing what he wants to do, going where he wants to go. And how do I kind of reverse that?
Just say no.
Just
stop it.
Well, you could tell him how much you care about him, and that, see, he's saying this because I think he's afraid to let go of you. It shows how much he really loves you. He really does care about you, and he's feeling like if he doesn't have control of you, you might take off and go after somebody else. So he's afraid he's going to lose you, I think. So you might, and maybe you can identify that fear in yourself. You feel like you have to do what he says, otherwise maybe he'll leave you. You could open that up with him and say, I think we're both scared of something here. We're like holding on to each other. I'm doing things I don't want to do, and you're telling me to do things when really we're scared of losing each other. And he might feel safer if he knows that you feel that way too. When couples can talk at that level, they feel much more relaxed.
In a relationship, Rebecca, has your husband, how long have you been with him?
3.5 years.
3.5 years. During that whole time, I imagine when you first were married, that he would come up and hug you and kiss you and nurture you on a daily basis. Is it the same now as it was when you were first married?
It is, in that respect. Although I can identify with the young lady speaking, one of my main issues was control, and it was for him also. It was like we both wanted to be in that point of control and controlling our own life. It was real hard to let go and say, okay, you just be in charge of yourself and I'll be in charge of me. That's still an issue that keeps popping up for us. If he wants to dress me, or if he wants me to, wear a certain, dress or something, or act a certain way, or, it's still that old issue of control that comes up.
He wants control. But nurturing is what I'm trying to get to here in a relationship.
It's important.
Yeah, and it's very, very difficult to keep alive. And I think, isn't it one of the major complaints of women?
Do you
Nancy?
nurture your wife?
Do I nurture my wife?
Yes.
I do. Yes, I do.
Do you?
For 7 years, yes, I do.
Oh, that's good.
But I will admit, and I will be very honest, that many times it is my wife who will say, you've been working a lot lately, we haven't had enough time to talk, it doesn't seem like we've You know, we've got the kids that we've spent all our time with. When you're home, you're spending time with the kids, or you're at work, and we haven't had enough time for you and I to sit down and talk. I will admit that she will do that. And thank goodness for that.
She keeps the relationship on track.
Now I'm becoming a guest on my own show. I mean, you know, this is not supposed to happen.
Well, I think you're a terrific model for men, that you can listen to what your wife has to say and
well, I'm not saying that I listen to everything she says to me now, but I mean, I think every guy, you know, I'm glad that she does that, because sometimes you get so involved in work, and I think a lot of men will admit this, you get involved in everything else that's going on, and you forget about that time to talk.
Right, she needs to flag you down and tell you, hey, wait a minute, there's another life here. You have a family, you have me, and we...
But isn't this one of the major complaints of women in a relationship?
Yes, women have been raised to be nurturers. We've all been raised to help and be supportive and sensitive to others, and it hasn't been that way for men. I think men very often are raised to be more self-centered and take care of people financially, but not emotionally, and that's where they need help. They really don't know what to say. You know, the man who doesn't say, hey, it was a great dinner. It's important to remind them and to say, you know, I need you to tell me that this was a great dinner. It makes me feel better.
I want to talk more about this and more about your belief in the book that the woman has to lead the relationship down the trail of emotional happiness.
Yes,
and we
right.
continue in Twin Cities.
This is a test. This station, KSTP TV, is conducting a test of the emergency broadcast system. This is only a test. This is a test of the emergency broadcast system. The broadcasters of your area, in voluntary cooperation with federal, state, and local authorities, have developed this system to keep you informed in the event of an emergency. If this had been an actual emergency, such as a tornado or a very severe thunderstorm warning, the attention signal you just heard would be followed by official information, news, or instructions. This station, KSTP TV, serves the metropolitan Minnesota operation area. This concludes this test of the emergency broadcast system.
All these baby wipes show happy, smiling babies, but behind those smiles, there's methylparaben, SD alcohol 40, cocoa amphocarboxyglycinate. Now there's a baby wipe with no alcohol and only natural ingredients, purified water, aloe vera, citric and sorbic acids, plus a mild fragrance, new natural touch. Because only one smiling face really matters. New Natural Touch Baby Washcloths.
My entertainment story for this Friday morning? Easy. I can't resist the chance to peek behind the scenes of a splashy Broadway musical, Singin' in the Rain, this weekend at the Orpheum Theater. I'm finding out details like how they get 700 gallons of rain to fall on stage at 78 degrees. Oh, and you'll never believe who's doing a guest appearance. And I'll have other Twin Cities entertainment news, too, Friday on Eyewitness News Morning at 6. I love Gene Kelly, and the rain, and my shower.
Nancy's book is called How to Love a Difficult Man by Nancy Good. How to love him. You're living with him, you want to love him, but doggone it, he can make things tough on you. Good morning. Thank you for calling in. You're on Twin Cities Live. Go right ahead with your question.
Yeah, hi. Good morning.
Good morning.
This is for Nancy. I've had myself and my husband in counseling and through a communications course, and the problem that we still seem to run into is this fear of losing power in the relationship, where whenever an issue comes up, I usually address the issue, and there's no compromise. It's always got to be a win-lose situation, and usually he'll fight until he feels like he's won.
Almost becomes a competition then.
Yeah, it does. And usually the idea of proposing compromises and stuff is left up to me.
Okay, Nancy?
Well, it very often is left up to the woman, but she might, I think it's important to tell him to say, listen, I've been doing all the compromising. Is it possible you could too? Power struggles and needing to be in control, that's one of the big traps that all couples fall into. And I think we all get into power struggles because, you know, as children, we didn't have much power. We didn't have much control. And sometimes when we get into a relationship, we start to have those feelings like we did when we were a kid, where we have no control here again, and it makes us very upset. So I think he may be experiencing that kind of feeling, that he's going to lose out somehow if he's not in charge.
Yes, I have a kind of a view. I've observed female behavior all my life, along with other types of behavior and phenomena, and it seems to me what you're talking about really, it may be the opposite in nature. I've never been able to get along with women in a communication sort of format. And the reason is, I think the basic woman in our society has an envelope or is very conditional on the type of conversation and communication that she will have, and that beyond that, they're not so nice. They can be quite vile, like hell hath the... Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, I think is highly true. And I think if men and women are to get along, that communication should be tolerable. Like right now, if I should continue, I am quite sure that most of the women out here in this audience would be outraged at me. And although men aren't all that great either, I think it's pretty sad to perpetuate a situation that might be true in an opposite format. And
I think what you're saying here is that women are constantly saying that it's hard to communicate with him. He doesn't communicate with me. And what you're saying as a man, that it's hard to communicate with a woman. They don't listen to what men say.
I might say, no, I'd say even a little bit more than that, Bob, that I think women do control the parameters of marriages and a conversation.
They set the ground rules.
I think so. The majority of shows like this are female-oriented, and I think the social and psychological professions and academia is kind of oriented that way. It's not scientific, and they bend with the wind.
What do you think about this, Nancy? Because it's a valid point. You don't see a book out that says how to love a difficult woman.
Well, and maybe this gentleman should write it. But I think it takes a lot of courage to stand up in a group of women and talk about this. But what he's talking about is, I certainly wouldn't differ with you. No matter who's doing it, whether it's the man or the woman, if you are being what I call verbally attacked, I'm not talking about physically, but verbally attacked, criticized, put down, that it's important to stop the person who's ever doing it to you, whether it's your wife or your boss or your husband or your boyfriend, whoever, it doesn't matter whoever's doing it. And it's important for the man to do that with his wife too, and to say, hey, wait a minute, now you're verbally attacking me and I don't want to have this go on anymore. It's not going to be helpful. I suggest to women that they do that with their difficult man when he does that to them. So men can do it too.
Just as women
has to happen like that. As a matter of fact, women appreciate it. If anyone would appreciate it if you say, hey, wait a minute, don't talk to me like that. I want to talk to you, but not like that.
Just as the role of women today are changing, so is the role of men. And it's going to take time for everybody to figure out where the heck we're going to come together and be able to communicate with one another.
Yeah, one thing is expectations, real high expectations. Like my two younger brothers were real affectionate and real cuddly. And I got married and it was kind of, he's affectionate and cuddly, but it wasn't when I wanted to be affectionate and cuddly. That's real important. I mean...
Yeah, what do you do, Nancy, when you've got that, when a woman wants that nurturing and wants to be cuddly and wants to express...
And he doesn't want to,
and
then when he
the
wants
husband
to...
says, come on, you know, the game's on. Give me a break.
Yeah, really, the NCAA tournament.
Right. It reminds me of a case that I talked about, the couple that's always out of sync. And they're out of sync for a reason, and it's important for the woman to be aware also that if she can identify those fears in herself, maybe they're out of sync because to really have the love of your life be the man you're married to is scary sometimes.
Good morning. Go right ahead. Good morning to you. You're on Twin Cities Live. Go ahead.
Hi. My problem is, okay, my husband and I, we've had these conversations where I tell him how I feel, and he talks about how he feels, and we've come to agreements. And he'll even say, yeah, you're right, I shouldn't not show up for dinner anymore. I shouldn't sleep on the couch. I should get involved with the kids. and yet it goes right back to how it was, you know, just went before the conversation.
You think he's just trying to get you out of his hair?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely. And he's, like I say, he doesn't show up for our meals. We move the meal later. He still doesn't show up. He sleeps on the couch, whether it's 7:30 at night, 10 o'clock at night. He goes right to the couch, lays down. That's it. And he'll tell me, yes, you're right, I should be more involved, but nothing changes.
Nancy?
Okay, well, have you told, can she hear me?
Yes.
Have you told him how you feel about, well, do you know how you feel about this?
Definitely. It's 10 years.
Right.
We've discussed
How do you feel about this?
Rejected, unappreciated, taken advantage. I feel, something about it makes me feel that he likes me being in pursuit of him.
Okay, well, if that's okay, now you're on track with that. So if you pick up that signal, I would back up. And I would tell him that you're backing up, and tell him that you're not going to pursue him anymore on these particular subjects. And I would, if I were you, not wait for dinner for him anymore. Have dinner, or maybe make plans with friends to have dinner. And I think soon he's going to start coming after you.
Well, you think, okay, because
if he just wants to lie on the couch and you want to go to the movies, tell him, I'm going to the movies with friends
So she has
tonight.
to play hard to get.
No, it's not playing hard to get. It's taking, that may be the way it looks, but it's taking care of herself. She needs to be able to have an organized, planned life. She wants to be able to have a good time.
And if he doesn't want to be a part of it,
if he doesn't want to be a part of it, she can say, look, you don't want to be a part of it, I'm going to have a good time anyway. And if you want to come along, that's fine.
It works.
That's exactly where I'm at now. I'm almost numb to the whole thing, and I'm doing my own thing. Like I said, we have 4 kids. It's hard when, you know, I would like him there and involved with the kids, but I have been doing my own thing. And I notice that he does come to me now and say, well, what's the problem? But as soon as we start to talk about it, he gets upset again, and then he'll drop it, and then it's I'm the bad guy because I won't discuss these things anymore.
Well, I suggest that you don't, when he comes to you about the problem, say, if there's no problem, I'm having a good time, you want to come out with me? I'd love to go with you. Don't talk about your feelings anymore then. Just say you like him to come with you if he wants.
Got to take a break right here. When we come back, we'll have time for your question. So stand right there. Don't run off, okay? We'll be back in just a moment.
Here's important news for homeowners. If you've been thinking of siding your home but have put it off because of the expense, now is the perfect time to do it. Because if you call this toll-free number right now during our special off-season sale, you can save 15% on siding from Sears. But that's not all. If you call during this limited time sale, you'll also get energy-saving 3/4-inch foam wall insulation at no additional cost with the installation of your siding. You see, we need to keep our crews busy at this time of year, so we're cutting our prices and passing the savings on to you. So whether your home is wood or stucco and needs an entire facelift, or if it's a brick combination with cracked, peeling moldings, eaves, and overhangs, siding from Sears will enhance the look of your home. In addition, long-lasting, maintenance-free siding will increase the resale value and save you the bother and expense of frequent repainting. And siding from Sears, combined with energy-saving 3/4-inch foam wall insulation, will cut your heating and cooling costs so that you not only save money now, you continue to save all year round. Best of all, when you deal with Sears, you can be sure the job is done right. Call this toll-free number now during our off-season sale, and Sears will arrange for a free in-home estimate. Help you select siding that's just right for your needs. Show you convenient credit plans designed to fit almost any budget, and even arrange for professional installation. So don't delay. Enjoy all the beauty and satisfaction of siding from Sears at super low off-season prices. Call now and save 15% on siding from Sears and get energy-saving 3/4-inch foam wall insulation at no additional cost.
This is a limited time offer, so act now. Call 1-800-862-1100 for your free in-home estimate. Remember, that number is 1-800-862-1100. That's 1-800-862-1100.
They began their lives like most little girls. A good family, a loving home, but that's where the similarities end. On next Monday's show, April 6th, meet 2 women who began controversial and dangerous lives after becoming fed up with what they call boring lifestyles. One became a drug dealer and spent time in a Mexican prison for her crimes. The other started out as an officer with the Los Angeles Police Department, but later, after 10 years, became a call girl. Why would ordinary women leave the security of a conservative life for that of crime and risk? Call 641-1298 for free tickets, and this is a week from Monday, April 6th. Free tickets to meet two very colorful good girls gone bad.
Nothing could be finer than the taste of Aunt Jemima in the morning. How about Aunt Jemima fixes you up with something toasty instead? New Aunt Jemima pancakes sound good? Then get your toaster. That's right, Aunt Jemima spent a lot of time sifting and whisking to make pancakes so good you wouldn't believe they came out of a toaster. Nothing could be finer than the taste of Aunt Jemima in the morning.
Your accident has caused tough problems. You need tough lawyers like Swore and Gatto. Call 690-4300. We'll get tough with whoever hurt you. Tougher with stingy insurance companies. Toughest in going after every dollar you have coming. Every dollar. Swore and Gatto, 690-4300. We'll turn tough luck into tough actions and the biggest cash award possible. Swore and Gatto. Tough lawyers for the toughest problems. 690-4300.
Walt Disney's World on Ice. Coming to the Met Center. Save $2.50 off regular price tickets at Diet Coke Family Night. Thursday, March 26th at 7:30 p.m.
Globe College of Business.
Being at Globe has changed my life quite a bit. I had been a homemaker previously, and getting out into the world, the business world particularly, and learning the ins and outs, and getting along with people. It's built my self-confidence. I've learned a lot about relationships with others.
Globe College of Business. Turn your world around. Call 224-4378.
How to Love a Difficult Man by Nancy Good. Go right ahead.
Okay. I have a question for the doctor. I was wondering, how do I get my husband to come to me with his problems instead of his friends and family?
Instead of going to his buddies and his family, come to you.
Yeah, I find out about him afterwards or listening to him when he's telling somebody else about it.
Nancy?
Have you discussed this with him? Have you told him how it makes you feel?
Yeah.
You feel hurt?
Kind of.
Yeah,
it's just
left
like
out.
he doesn't respect my opinions.
Does he? Well, then, first thing is to take the emotional risk. Tell him how you feel about it. And then try and figure out. I think he doesn't come to you because maybe he's scared he'd have to do exactly what you'd say. With somebody, you're probably more important to him than other people.
I hear a lot of what we're talking about is a lack of communication. Well, the women, I feel, are going to have to take the first step and teach us and bear with us because we have a power struggle right here. And I've been married 13 years, and I've worked through that and taken classes. But I don't get any support from men out there when I want to go and talk to them about it. Or if I try to talk about my son and how I'm raising him or anything like that. And I think that we better start with the kids at an early age, preschool, talk about feelings, be able to not be ashamed of them. You know, my son has a doll, and they said, oh, he has a doll. And you know what he said? I couldn't believe it. I'm glad. He's 4.5. He said, this isn't a doll. This is my kid, and I'm going to take him to home living skills at his daycare. And that's what we're teaching our kids. They're going to grow up. This is real. This is reality.
I found that when you don't have common interests, and I go out and he stays home, it makes the gap grow longer, wider.
Oh, you like to go out and dance, and
Yes.
you know,
And
he
he
wants to stay at home, watch TV.
Right.
Boy, that
And I found that I think the longer you let that go on, the worse it is for the marriage.
Do you have to have common interests, though, to be happy together?
Well, it certainly makes life a lot more fun if you can do the thing you like to do with the person that you love. Have you asked him if there's something he'd like to do with you? Something
yeah.
he could, maybe you can do something that he wants to do sometime.
Yeah, it's the point we got to find that common interest now. Besides the kids.
Steve and I do. Well, I go out and I'll have fun with the girls, but then I come home to him and I talk to him and I tell him how I felt about it, and you know, I talk to him.
I don't have a difficult husband, but I was wondering how Nancy happened to write this book. Do you have a difficult husband, or is this from your clients that you...
No, it's a combination. It's from the clients that I've worked with over the years and from myself, absolutely. I have lived with and loved difficult men all my life.
I figured that might be it.
Absolutely.
Don't the majority of women feel that at one time or another they're living with loving a difficult man?
All women seem to feel that they
Right. Wait, who's saying right over here? Right.
Yeah.
Stand up. You gotta. Yeah, come on. You got to stand up on this show.
Well, I'm going to say, I don't think you girls have any problem. I went through all of that, and I don't think you have any.
You don't think
I stayed with my husband.
Hotel accommodations and dining provided by the Radisson University Hotel, 615 Washington Avenue Southeast on the University of Minnesota East Bank campus. Henderson chauffeured Cadillacs provide limousine transportation for the guests of Twin Cities Live. Henderson's offers the largest selection of color, style, and service in the 5-state area. Bob Bruce's wardrobe is provided by Justers. Hair and makeup provided by Take 5, 504 North 1st Avenue in the Butler Building.
Ladies, do you want to respond to that comment?
Respond because I haven't been there 40 years, obviously. I'm too young for that. But for the time that I have been there, it has caused pressure. I've been to the hospital because I thought my iron was low, and my doctor told me that my blood and my physical body is fine. But she told me if I didn't slow down on cleaning the house and taking care of the kids and all the other stuff, that I would have a nervous breakdown. And that does run in my family.
No.
Well, no, see, I know because my mind, I have headaches.
Let me thank my guests for being with us today.
Plymouth, Minnesota's truckload sale. You betcha, Jared. Plymouth, Minnesota has hundreds of styles of wallpaper in stock. Our truck...
Snyder's birthday sale proves there's a lot more to the Old Corner Drugstore today.
Like silky support pantyhose or underalls in a variety of spring colors and textures, just $2.99. 20 big disposable shavers or 5 disposable lighters are just $2 each. With $2 rebate, final cost is free. Tuffy's yard or trash bags, 2 for $5, less $1 rebate, final cost is 2 for $4.
Snyder's, the Old Corner Drugstore for today.
Embers is cooking up something new and exciting. Let's take a peek. Hot and spicy Cajun dishes. Tender, flavorful grilled cod. 14 exciting new taste treats. The finest ingredients prepared to your complete satisfaction. If you haven't been to Embers recently, we've got a surprise for you. Come see what's cooking at Embers.
Globe College of Business.
I'm a legal secretary at a law firm called Rutenberg, Griswold, Oren & Associates. Globe gave me the skills to apply towards the job that I'm doing now. My idea of success is finishing my courses here at Globe, being ready to go out into the business world.
Call now, 800-552-5500. That's 800-552-5500.
How to eat to beat PMS.
On Good Company.
Good morning and welcome to Twin Cities Live. I'm Bob Bruce, and you know, a great, beautiful weekend, right? You could go out Easter weekend, be with family and friends, and relax and kind of lay around the house, have Easter dinner, and then now it's Monday. You got to go back to work and stress. That's what we're talking about today, stress.